Welcome to Ask the Patient Advocate podcast, where we will discuss all things related to navigating your health. I am Dr. Elena Borrelli, and I'm so excited to talk about such an important topic of private patient advocacy. Managing your health and navigating the healthcare system is challenging, but it's a lot better when we go through it together. Welcome back to a new episode of Ask the Patient Advocate podcast. Today, we're diving into a conversation that touches on something many patients experience, feeling like there has to be more than just managing symptoms. For many individuals living with chronic conditions, the journey doesn't stop at diagnosis. It often leads to deeper questions about root causes, lifestyles, and alternative approaches to healing. So joining us today is Karen Zuzu, a holistic health educator, speaker, and founder of Holistic Health Educators. Karen's journey began with her own diagnosis of epilepsy as a child, which ultimately led her to explore nutrition, natural health modalities, and a whole body approach to wellness. Over the past several decades, she has educated thousands of individuals and developed programs focused on natural healing and health empowerment. So, Karen, thank you so much. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy that you're here.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you so much for all you do.
Well, I think your work is amazing. I can also actually relate to because I also suffered with epilepsy as a child. And I had a very, very severe a case of epilepsy. So I'm very interested and exciting to, hear more about your journey. And it seems like it really starts with your own health experience. So can you maybe just start by taking us back to where you were first diagnosed with epilepsy and, what it was like for you?
Sure. Well, started having seizures when I was young, but because I had them when my parents weren't around, it was awkward to explain what was happening, and I was so young. So I was officially diagnosed when I was about 12 years old, and put on different medications, and that's how my life was. Ring a bell, have a seizure. Always fun on a date, and so it was. As you know, and so it was then that I just, went along with it. What do you do? I took my medications. But when I was in college, I was exposed to a really neat woman who had a bunch of kids who loved natural therapies. And that's when I started getting inspired and coming into the health world. So by the time I was going to get married, and I knew I didn't want to have children, I didn't want to be on the medications anymore. So I started diving really much more into how did the body work? What can I do for epilepsy? And back then there were no, there wasn't internet by any means. And so it was back to libraries and reading books and studying. And I was able to start, I just ate a lot of food that that I had been researching helped the nervous system. And now that I'm doing what I do, I've been doing this now for 40 years and haven't had a seizure in 35, and well, I've been having green drinks for 40 years. And so it has literally been about 37 years without a seizure. And now I know it was actually, I was eating foods rich in GABA. I was like, of course it was rich in GABA, because GABA controls all your electrical systems of the body, including, for seizures and Tourette's and all of that. So it was really neat. It was a really neat experience.
That's amazing. Yeah. Fortunately, I guess you can say fortunately, I had seizures very young. So I had them from when I was like a couple months old up until I was like about 10 years old. And so
Mhm.
thankfully, I was on medication 3 times a day, which they don't even use these medications anymore. But like I grew out of them, so I didn't have to worry about the driving or the pregnancy concerns and stuff like that. But it was always in my mind because it's like, okay, I haven't had one, but what if I have one? Then what's going to happen? So
Right,
just
right, right,
kind of
right.
living in
That's
this,
it.
yeah, exactly. They're kind of living in this like, okay, what's going to happen next? But that's amazing because yeah, I think there's a lot even now that's like unknown in the like medical world for seizures, but back then it was like completely different. There were so many unknowns, and the fact that you were able to look like beyond traditional treatment approaches is amazing. Because and I know a lot of people don't even know that is an option. So I know you touched on this already, but like tell us a little bit more like what led you to explore nutrition and natural health?
Well, that's really what did it, because when I was done with that, I was like, wait a minute, what else haven't they taught me? But shortly after that, someone I loved got cancer. And I was like, well, let me research cancer, So it just became kind of I loved it. And plus I was having kids. Like I started having children, and I didn't want, and I'll never forget this. the my oldest daughter was born and she had clogged tear ducts, and so she was, a few months old, and several months old probably at that point, and they were like, well, we're just going to go in and do some surgery, and we might as well put tubes in her ears. And I'm like, what? And they're like, well, she'll need them, so we'll just put them in now. I'm like, yeah, no. I was like, whoever you are, I don't know you, but no, you're not putting tubes in my kids' ear. And that's when I started using homeopathy. And it was really funny because, eventually one of the kids got an ear infection, and I let him ride it out, kept a temperature gauge and kept him on homeopathy, and boom, they never had another ear infection again because the white blood cells, of course, dun, 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 there are secret invaders there, and they're like protecting us all the time. So it was just really neat to learn that, wait a minute, I think what we're being taught isn't exactly the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So there's
Yeah,
another way.
I like that statement. Yeah, there's a little more than what is being shared educationally wise. So you often talk about identifying the root cause of symptoms. From your perspective, what does that mean? And then why would you say it's important?
Yeah, because I always say look up. Keep looking upstream, upstream, upstream. If we take and I am so grateful that we are bridging Western and Eastern medicine for good. So,
Oh,
like with holistic health educators, we teach the science of natural healing. We teach the science of how the body works, the organs, the glands, the tissues. We do not sell supplementation. We teach how the body works. We teach people. We have courses on understanding supplements and when they would be beneficial and when not to use them. But if you turn to someone who's just giving you supplements all the time, that's no better than, getting a pharmaceutical for that symptom. When we want to look upstream, why do we have type 2 diabetes, even type 1 diabetes? I have people literally that don't take any insulin because they have repaired the liver and they're type 1 diabetics. Like that can happen. And that's, solely their responsibility because that's, what their choices are. But type 2 diabetes, it becomes a choice when you understand how the body functions and how cells function and how the pancreas works. I don't mean that with any like frustration with anybody who has type 2 diabetes. I think, but they don't know. And that's the great part is when you look upstream and you realize that, oh, if you're pre-diabetic or you're type 2 diabetic, you are definitely missing chromium, right? We are definitely lacking chromium almost 100% of the time. And we might just have too much sugar and too much grain. And by literally exercising when we're done eating and cutting back on some grains and sugar instead of increasing insulin, our whole life can change. And it's just, so I'm a big go upstream. So when we're looking at, okay, I have epilepsy. Okay, that's downstream. So I had epilepsy. Why? Like that annoying 3-year-old or 4-year-old who's like, why? Why? Remember when your kids went through that? Why? 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 So always ask why. Don't ever stop, because the nervous system is in control of the whole body. And so, if it's an endocrine disorder, it's most likely a nervous system disorder because the nerves that control that gland may not be firing properly because you need a chiropractor or some acupuncture. Like, so it's really neat to just continue asking why and keep going upstream.
I love that. And I have a personal story I can share about that as well. That kind of got me even more interested in all this probably about 8 years ago or so. So my son got really, really sick. He got like this horrible, like septic. He got a septic hip out of the blue. He was this healthy 2 year old and he was sicker than sick. He had to have emergency surgery. He kept having osteomyelitis, recurrent infections. His skin started breaking out and nobody could tell me why. Every specialist we would go to, he'd had repeated surgeries, IVs, PIC lines, everything you can think of. And they just kept saying he has really bad luck. And I'm like, that is not a diagnosis.
Bad luck. Oh my word.
I promise you that is not a diagnosis. And so they're like, it'll never happen. The odds of him getting another infection is so rare. And then sure enough, a couple months later, we'd be back in there for the same thing. And I'm like, he is a healthy, like child with a normal immune system that supposedly, why is this happening? So
Mm-hmm.
after like 2 years of insanity,
Mm-hmm.
surgery, I mean, everything you can think of, I had him tested for like food sensitivities and he was filled with yeast. I mean, his yeast to his
Yeah.
body was through the roof I put him on a yeast-free diet, and I will tell you, he did not have another infection again. His skin cleared up. I mean, his biopsies were like before, they're like, oh, he's inconsistent, like inconclusive. Like there was, it was always like he just has really bad luck. Well, no, he actually didn't have bad luck. He had yeast. But I mean, it was just amazing.
Yes.
Like, and they were telling me, oh, he's never going to be able to walk again because of the infections. He's never going to be able to do that. Like, it was just horrible. But like, I kept asking these, like you said, the annoying question, but why? Like, what's the reasoning? Like, there has to be an underlying reason. So I continue to in that aspect. And I think sometimes you just have to be that annoying person and continue to ask questions.
The annoying person. That's right. Well, those, I mean, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. We all know that,
Yes.
So yeah. And I hate to say you won't always get it from your doctor only because they don't know. This is where you can't get mad. You literally, people get so upset with their doctors. I have people coming in all the time and they're so upset and they're so upset and they're so, I'm like, you guys, they don't know. You can't be upset for them for not knowing. Now, maybe they should learn. Maybe there's some education some of them should be taking. We have a lot of medical doctors and or medical students and some medical doctors in our program all the time. But they really don't know. So that's why this is such a golden age, isn't it? Like everyone's on the internet and people are talking to each other and they're sharing stories. It's golden and it's black because I'm nervous because we're going into an age where you don't know what's real anymore. Like you do not know who is real and what is real. And we're the real thing. We'll never use AI to do anything. We have an internal AI system in our school. It's called Ask Zuzu. And anyone can buy it, but it's a subscription for, I don't know, $7 a month, but it's ask any health ailment. And, everything we've written and talked about in our school for the last 10 years is in there. So it's really cool, but it's closed. We're not getting information from the internet. We're not sharing this with anybody because it's real. These are from me working with human beings. This is from our 100 other practitioners and doctors in our program working with human beings. And so I think it's great because people are aware that there might be something upstream that they simply haven't learned yet. But also we have to be careful because there's how many people out there back to the old selling snake oil thing. And I don't know if you've found this, doctor, but we have found it in our practice. People are buying products from big box stores online, and the products they're getting are not the actual product from these major companies. And so one of my business partners owns, well, my only business partner, but he owns a very large, one of the largest supplement industry, companies in the world. And he said there's several people like suing these big companies because they can't monitor where the product's coming from. And there are actual people out there in the world that will get a bottle that just looks like, let's just say capsule tea. It's $150 a bottle. And it's phenomenal for cancer and inflammation. But anyhow, and so they can make it look just like that bottle. And this has happened to my clients overseas. And they fill these little capsules with something that might look like the product that's supposed to be in it. And they sell them until they sell their whole, maybe they had 10,000 made and then they're gone. And then you can't find them anywhere. And that's actually happening. So people need to be really careful where they're getting their supplements from and what they're listening to.
It's unbelievable. And it's so scary too, because it's like you have to make sure you check to the reliability of your sources for sure.
I have a bottle sitting in front of me from a client who brought it in, and she's like, this just makes me sick. Well, she didn't, of course, get it from us. And I'm looking at it. I opened up the lid and it smells like perfume. And I'm like, oh, good God, what is in here? Like I have it sitting here to send to the company. I'm going to write a letter to the company going, we might want to be aware of this, but it's crazy out there. We got to be so careful.
Yeah, no, that's unbelievable. I think that's a huge eye opener. And you also highlight things like food, air quality, and even environmental exposure. So how do these factors play into overall health?
Oh, great question. Well, your mind, I do a lot of podcasting. And right now, that is the number one thing people ask is, what's the number one thing you would tell people? And I'm like, oh, honey, besides water and EMFs, we must look at the mind. That needs to become the first thing. Because if you wake up every morning and you're like, oh, my back hurts again. Oh, I've got MS again today. It didn't go away. Oh, I'm diabetic. Oh, I have cancer again. Like if you put yourself with an identity of being sick, you're going to have a sucky day because you're great. Okay, great. Just have a crappy day because you're still sick. Like, yeah, I mean, we really need to wake up and go, okay, I'm dealing with symptoms, that are from my nervous system or from my digestive health, whatever the symptoms might be, but don't give yourself those labels, right? The minute someone gives you a label, get rid of it because that is not real. That might be the symptoms of something that appears to be like that. But we have so much capability at a cellular level to change our cells in a week. For we do this for a living. People will come for day one of their retreat and we'll do all, their ultrasounds and thermal imaging and we'll run all the blood work and the urinalysis and we'll do some live blood cell analysis. On the day they leave, let's say it's even 7 to 8 days. I need to post this on my Facebook because it was so crazy. We had someone come who had the worst blood I have ever seen. The mold, the candida. There wasn't a single cell that looked normal. Nothing. It was absolutely horrific. Lyme, just the whole work, right? And after 8 days of eating our food and doing the lymphatic suit and getting in the sauna and doing hyperbaric chamber and all the cool things that you can do, right? And a lot of this you guys can do at home. A lot of this equipment, some of it's pretty expensive. The rest of it, a lot of people can get affordable things. I'm telling you, her blood looked like a whole new human being, an entirely new human being. And I think people don't realize that they can make changes today, like today. You can stop putting toxins in the bloodstream that are going to make your cells stick together, right? And feel better in just days. So I think that mindset is everything, but we have to get out of the victim identity, which everyone's a victim these days, a victim to identity theft. That's not just some company stealing your house or your ID. You're a victim because you believed what people keep telling you. Like you're believing that cancer is going to kill you or something, right? Because you don't know how to get rid of it naturally, or even using whatever pharmaceuticals you want to use. But like if there's fear, it's because they don't know something. So for me, the mindset of fear is the first red alert flag that, okay, we need to get rid of the fear. That's just because I don't understand something. And people who are religious across the world, they all know that there's those great scriptures about if we understand something, we don't fear it anymore. But if we fear something, it is because we're lacking an understanding. And so I really, really emphasize learn, get up every day and learn, listen to a podcast, listen to these, like listen to real human beings that are talking about real life experiences and get some hope in you because you're not going to find a whole hell of a lot of hope. Listen to the news, right? You're going to get whatever they're telling you, they want you to believe at this moment. So like, that's fun. It can be entertaining, but like, let's really stick with your mindset about your body, your life, your garden, your yard, your lovers, your kids, your grandkids, your house, really start focusing on you and becoming a better you because then you'll be able to lift everybody around you.
I love that. I think that's perfect. That's such good advice. And yeah, I think it's very easy to just like start negative because so many bad things are happening or kind of bringing you down, but that's amazing advice. So for someone listening who feels stuck in a health journey, where should they start?
If you're stuck in a health journey, then I think you would start by realizing that the mind is the most important thing, but then to realize that water is one of the best cures, water and salt on the planet, like period, hands down. Drink more water and not stuff from your tap. Please don't use tap water. Like first study water with me, guys. But like let's drink more water. And you can go to findaspringnearme.com and you can find springs all over the globe. I mean, it's really cool. Well, I say globe, but over the world. Anyhow, across the world. And so like find good clean water, get an RO unit, do structured water. Even if you must drink tap water today and you're listening to this, okay, well then pray over your tap water and then like put it in your blender and at least blend the water on high for like 5 or 10 seconds and then drink it. You've just structured it. You're going to absorb 10 times more water if it's structured. Like so much more water is absorbed when it's structured. And so vortexing is how every fluid on the earth, travels, and that's how all of our frequencies, they're all vortex. So structuring your water, putting some minerals in there to get them better absorbed. Water is the place to start. And just think of it as a lazy river for your cells. Do you really want to wake up and have coffee as the first thing you put your cells into? Let's just think about this, right? And especially if it's from some crap store that is using their own tap water, that's the water you're getting, honey, or their whatever they're using for the water sources, but then you don't know all the chemicals they're putting in there. And if you just look at all the videos on even just baking bread in America, you don't want to put that in your in your bloodstream bloodstream either. So paying attention to what we put into our lazy river called the bloodstream, so our cells can absorb those things, is where I would start. Just make a cleaner choice today. Get an organic apple. Oh my, you might spend 20 cents more on the apple. Like, okay, you can do that. Like just nix the coffee today, guys, and go get a couple of good organic apples or get a salad for lunch. Woohoo, like live on the edge, right? And like just start bringing things in that are going to make that lazy river of the cell healthy again. Make your cells healthy again. Hey, I could start something, but I don't think I want to do that. But anyhow, like we want to make our cells healthy again.
I love that. I love it. Well, I'm sure our listeners are curious and would love to know more about your work and where they can connect with you. So, where can people find more information about what you're doing?
So we actually created a landing page, and it's called zuzuunleashed.com, because I'll still do a PowerPoint. Like when I present at big fancy places, they want a PowerPoint. Oh, honey, they're going to get one, but I ignore it the whole time. Out there, people can take pictures, but I'm like, honey, if I feel impressed to talk about something, I'm going to talk about it. So we just have so much fun. So on Zuzu Unleashed is where the platform is, but holistic health educators. And if you go to Zuzu Unleashed, you'll get to everywhere. Plus, I've got like 2 free ebooks on there, one on dysautonomia, and then one on pH for life. But holistic health educators is our school. We're an international school. People can graduate in 100 different languages. And we do certification courses, not print a certificate because you paid $500 and now you're a health coach. Don't do that. Like this is actual certification students. We have medical professionals. Probably a third of our students are medical professionals around the world. And then we have graduates from age 16 to 80 something. We teach how the body works. We have different programs for that. And then Lily Fields is a retreat center down in Middle Georgia where people can come and stay for 5 days, 8 days, months, and just experience what it's like to eat well and live well and clean up the body a little bit. So we just have a lot of fun.
I love that. That's amazing. I think that's such a good resource for people to kind of figure out what their next step's going to be. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Zuzu, for sharing your story and your perspective. Your journey is a powerful reminder that patients often need to explore multiple paths to find what works best for them. And I think one of the biggest takeaways today is that people deserve to feel empowered, whether that's through education, advocacy, or exploring different approaches to their care. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day. If you have a question for Ask the Patient Advocate, email advocate@pathwaypa.com. Managing your health and navigating the healthcare system is challenging, but it's a lot better when we go through it together.